I trust everybody will be able to hear me, and maybe there is a microphone that's working up here. Good morning. My name is Bill Bach. I'm here to speak on behalf of two members of the 2023-2024 Roanoke College women's swim team who filed discrimination complaints against Roanoke College with the Virginia Attorney General. Publicly available data indicates that about 54.4% of Roanoke College's full-time students are female. Yet some 58% of varsity athletic roster spots at Roanoke College are on male teams. That means that males at Roanoke College have more than 100 more varsity roster spots than do females, even though only about 45% of the total student population is male. Complainants A and B filed discrimination complaints with the Virginia Attorney General because in 2023, not only did Roanoke College have far fewer varsity athletic roster spots for women than men, but that year, Roanoke College actively supported a former swimmer from the Roanoke College men's swimming team moving over to the women's swim team merely because this man claimed a female gender identity. This action by Roanoke College took the already existing sex discrimination in Roanoke College's athletic program to another level. Not only would the male swimmer take a roster spot on the women's team, but that man had undeniable physical performance advantages that would deprive female athletes of the opportunity to fairly compete for placements. The female swimmers courageously and publicly stood up against Roanoke College's Board of Trustees' adoption of a discriminatory policy that was passed for the express purpose of allowing men to be able to compete on the women's sports teams where they would inevitably take opportunities from women. For standing up to the Roanoke College administration and Board of Trustees and taking a public stand for women's rights, the Roanoke women's swimmers paid a heavy price. The school allowed an ongoing 2-year campaign of hostility and intimidation to be directed against these young women, which included direct retaliation against the Roanoke women swimmers and depriving educational opportunities from the women swimmers for which they were qualified. It is hard to imagine more reprehensible conduct from an institution that claims to uphold ideals of diversity of thought and academic fairness and freedom. Earlier this morning, Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares issued robust findings summarizing the facts found in his investigation. As this is a matter of substantial public importance and interest, complainant A has authorized me to publicly identify her as former Roanoke College swim team co-captain Lily Mullins. And this is Lily's mother here today. Earlier this morning, Lily directed the public release of the Attorney General's findings, as is her legal right. Those findings can be downloaded from the website of the Independent Council on Women's Sports, www.iconswomen.com. The Independent Council on Women's Sports, known as ICONS, is an organization formed by women, including many former women collegiate athletes, to support young women and girls like Lily Mullins and her teammates who have devoted themselves to pursuing athletic excellence and who have found their athletic dreams, their safety, their well-being, and their rights as women disregarded by university presidents, athletic department administrators, and athletic conferences like the NCAA. As Attorney General Miyares' findings indicate, there exists a crisis of leadership and courage in college athletics today. Women athletes need leaders who will defend women's equal rights and their access to equal opportunities. But far too often, courageous leaders cannot be found among the occupants of high offices on college campuses and at the NCAA. Attorney General Miyares has found that Roanoke College engaged in discrimination in violation of the Virginia Human Rights Act and potentially Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972. Lily Mullins and Complainant B wish to express their deep and profound gratitude to Attorney General Miyares and his staff, including Christine Johnson and Joel Taubman, for, in stark contrast to what the women swimmers experienced on the Roanoke College campus, hearing their concerns and conducting a thorough investigation. There should be no doubt that Attorney General Miyares' investigation and written findings are a landmark legal victory for college women athletes. First, Attorney General Miyares has found that policies that allow men to take women's places on women's college sports teams constitute sex discrimination and are unlawful. Second, Attorney General Miyares has found that Lily Mullins and her teammates were injured by Roanoke College's sex discrimination and are entitled to pursue monetary damages against Roanoke College. Third, and perhaps most shamefully for Roanoke College, Attorney General Miyares has found that the evidence supports a finding of retaliation by Roanoke College against its own students and its own women athletes, merely because these young women courageously stood up for their legal rights. During the last nearly 2-year period, Roanoke College has participated in unrelenting, unchecked discrimination against their own women swimmers, engaging in undoubtedly one of the most repugnant episodes in the school's more than 150-year history. Attorney General Miyares, Lily Mullins, and her teammates on the Roanoke College women's swim team are deeply indebted to you for your diligence and for your willingness to take on this vitally important investigation. By doing so, you have given hope not only to Lily and her teammates, but to countless thousands of girls in Virginia and around the country who dream of a day when they can compete in sport without the fear that they will face men on the playing field, in the pool, or on the court, and in women's showers and locker rooms. Attorney General Miyares, would you now please take the podium and provide those gathered here and online more information about your landmark investigation and written findings?
Bill, thank you. Bill, I want to thank you for your diligence as well in representing these fine women. And I want to just thank everybody as well for being here. This was obviously put on our radar from these remarkable female athletes. Sports by nature are something that unite us by nature, but also they teach us so many of life skills. And these women have shown extraordinary nobility and leadership and courage in the face of a remarkable set of hostility against common sense. Following an investigation by my Office of Civil Rights, we have found reasonable cause that Roanoke College has indeed violated both the Virginia Human Rights Act and Title IX by both discriminating and retaliating against student athletes on the basis of sex. In August of 2023, Roanoke College told the women's swim team that a biological male was joining their team. He was going from the men's team to the women's team. These female swimmers unanimously objected to this, citing fairness and competition. In the following weeks, this male swimmer went on to dominate their times in the pool and also skip practices without consequences, a special privilege none of the women were also afforded. Demoralized by the disparities in expectations and their treatment, these brave female swimmers met repeatedly with the athletic director of Roanoke College and wrote letters to the president of the college as well. Roanoke College ignored their objections, and they insisted on keeping the male swimmer on the women's team. And then after he quit the women's team, they pretended he was never actually on the team. But these women swimmers knew better. And when the women's women's team had the courage to speak out publicly on this travesty, Roanoke College retaliated, denying multiple female swimmers, some with over 4.0 GPA, their applications to a study abroad program. Now, the Virginia Human Rights Act in Virginia is our principal anti-discrimination law in the Commonwealth, and it prohibits unlawful discrimination and retaliation by educational institutions on the basis of sex. No educational institution may refuse, withhold from, or deny any accommodations, advantages, or privileges on the basis of sex. Pursuant to our exhaustive investigation, my Office of Civil Rights has concluded that Roanoke College did indeed deny the female swimmers privileges granted to the male swimmer and actually retaliated against them by depriving them of their study abroad opportunities. These actions not only just violated the Virginia Human Rights Act, they also violated Title IX of the Educational Amendments of 1972. More fundamentally, my office finds that Roanoke's policy on sex-separated collegiate sports violated the Virginia Human Rights Act, specifically Roanoke's policy of forcing women to compete against post-pubescent males in sex-separated collegiate sports violated the Virginia Human Rights Act. This finding is grounded on law, the demonstrated athletic advantage of male puberty, and also on common sense. Men and women competitive sports are separated for a reason. Males who have undergone puberty have a significant, undeniable athletic advantage over females that no intervention can undo. Male puberty changes muscle mass, size, and aerobic capacity. That's just basic biology, and it matters so much in competition. The position of this office is that the Virginia Human Rights Act requires that biological males be excluded from competitive women's sports at the collegiate level. This is common sense. It's a travesty, an utter travesty that these swimmers, who should have been enjoying their collegiate experiences, instead endured 2 years of hate for just having common sense. They endured 2 years of hostility just for their desire to maintain an even playing field. They endured 2 years of harassment just for speaking out and advocating for themselves. They received death threats to the point they can only travel around the campus in groups. The college did not offer the female swimmers the same support and counseling services it offered the male swimmers. The women's swim team endured, and is still enduring, emotional, physical, and dignitary harm because of Roanoke College's failure to follow the law, and frankly, Roanoke College failure to care about these star athletes, these amazing students, these amazing women leaders. Not one public statement issued by Roanoke College expressed concern or support for the women. They were left to fend for themselves. This is not about partisan ideologies. This is about fairness. It's about common sense. To these young women, these remarkable student female athletes, your school has failed you. Your classmates that bullied and provided threats against you has failed you. They have belittled you. You have been ignored too long. And I vowed as Attorney General that I would be the people's protector. And yes, that means protecting women's sports and the dignity of our female athletes. This is about protecting opportunities that generations of women have fought hard to secure and making sure that young women in Virginia today have those same opportunities. Roanoke College violated the Virginia Human Rights Act and Title IX. The goal of Title IX, when it was created and passed, was to force schools and universities to fund sports for girls and women just as they had done for boys and men. So when you have left-wing ideology that finds and forces men to compete in sports, boys and men that are weaker and less skills, it means that they are actually violating Title IX. For every time you allow a boy that previously was not able to compete and win in the men's team to switch over into the women's team, what you have done is you've taken away a slot from a deserving woman. These women that work countless hours in the swim pool, in the gym to get ready, that balance the vigors of competitive swimming with a full academic course load while maintaining fantastic grades, you're denying their ability as well. You've taken a slot away from a deserving female. That is wrong. Roanoke College is wrong to allow a biological male to join the women's swim team. Roanoke College was wrong to grant the male swimmer privileges the female swimmers were denied. Roanoke College was wrong to retaliate against the female swimmers who spoke up. The Attorney General's office will continue to stand with these young women. Where your school has failed you, we will not. We will be your voice when others were too cowardly to provide you that voice. The Attorney General's office will continue to stand with these young women and every other female athlete in Virginia to make sure your rights are protected. Now, someone that is here that has seen firsthand the toll this has taken on these remarkable athletes is Lily Mullins' mother, Katie Mullins. She's here to provide some short remarks. Thank you, Katie, for your bravery.
Thank you. Thank you for standing up. Well, first, thank you, Attorney General Miyares. My name is Katie Mullins, as he said, and I'm here today on behalf of my daughter, Lily Mullins. She is one of the complainants in the Attorney General's investigation against Roanoke College. I will be reading a statement on my daughter's behalf because she regretfully has work obligations and is not able to be here today. And Lily and I would both like to express our sincere gratitude and thanks for allowing her remarks to be heard today, even though she's not able to be here. So, from Lily, my name is Lily Mullins, and I am a former captain of the Roanoke College women's swim team. I am here today with a heavy but hopeful heart, sharing my experience that's honestly the hardest thing that I have ever been through. 2 years ago, my teammates and I arrived on Roanoke campus with the hopes of college dreams of an amazing swim season. But I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But those dreams were shattered whenever they learned that a man was going to be on their women's swim team. With that, they realized that instead of focusing on training in their studies, they would be entering into a battle against their own school, against the NCAA for their basic rights to compete fairly against other female swimmers and to speak freely in defense of their own fair treatment. What followed was a grueling ordeal that took a tremendous toll on my mental health, my physical well-being, and my emotional strength. My teammates and I faced anxiety, sleepless nights, and a sense of defeat and abandonment, knowing that biology had stacked the odds against us. The leaders responsible for ensuring a safe and lawful educational experience were not only indifferent to our discrimination, but actively retaliated against us. Let me say that again. The leaders responsible for ensuing a safe and lawful educational experience were not only indifferent to our discrimination, but actively retaliated against us. They were upset that we would not prioritize a man's feelings over our own rights and accomplishments. At times, the backlash and discrimination and retaliation on campus left me so fearful that I became a prisoner in my own dorm room. To Roanoke College President Shushock, your failure to stand against this injustice and your tolerance of a climate of retaliation which thrived against young women on our campus is unacceptable. I urge you to lead ensuring equal opportunity for all students, including women, on campus under your authority. Restore Roanoke College to its united community that it can be. To the professor who retaliated against me, denying me a cherished educational opportunity simply for defending my rights and those of my teammates, I call on Roanoke College to ensure no educator can ever again unjustly derail a student's journey without facing serious consequences. Your actions were not just a personal bias, they were a betrayal of the values of education should uphold. I close with gratitude to the Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares for taking this investigation seriously and defending the rights of the women like me and my teammates. Your commitment gives me hope that our voices will be heard and that fairness will prevail. We deserve a future as female athletes that can endure future female athletes will not have to endure what my teammates and I did. It is my sincere hope that attorney generals, politicians, and educational leaders around the country will follow your example and ensure women receive safe and fair educational opportunities and have none of this happen to them. Thank you for standing with us. We appreciate you very much. Thank you.
I know that is every parent's worst nightmare, what you've been through, Katie, and so God bless you. I am prepared if there's any questions on this matter. Happy to answer them, or this is self-explanatory, which I think it is. We're happy to conclude. Yes, sir.
Scott Garber. On the day the young ladies had the Icons press conference in Roanoke, there was a petition circulated among the observers, and one of the leading signatories, I assume one of the writers, was Joe Cobb, who's now mayor of Roanoke. And the petition was titled "Hate Has No Home in Roanoke." How would you respond to that characterization?
The hate that we have seen has been directed towards these young women that were getting social media posts to the point where they didn't feel safe walking on campus. That was the hate they were feeling. The hate they were feeling was when they were bringing up consistent concerns about the situation. They were basically told essentially to get over it. The hate that they were receiving is when they were being offered the opportunity of a lifetime to study abroad, and some of these women that have, these women athletes at 4.0s were suddenly, just shortly thereafter they had come public, were being told that their dream to go study abroad was being denied them. So the hate that we have seen here, and I find it amazing to me, the people that most preach tolerance are the most intolerant that we have seen, particularly in this situation and on so many other campuses. And I think this whole situation is a great example of people that are so open-minded the brain falls out. They want to deny thousands of years of basic common sense and everything that we've ever known about human biology to try to tell us, don't believe our lying eyes. And I think future generations are going to look back at this period of time and laugh and think of the insanity that we have seen. We have said it's okay that biological men should be in women's private spaces, on their sports teams, their locker rooms, and whatnot. And so I do think there has now been a shift. But I think they need to perhaps look at a mirror when they talk about hate. What these women have been through, when you hear the stories and this report details what the parents saw, their daughters not even be able to eat, they were not safe, they're dealing with such depression and anxiety, the fact they had to travel in groups on campus just to feel safe. Now ask yourself, when you read this document, who is showing the hate?
What happens next? Are there what consequences for the school?
I can't speak to that because it is ongoing. There will be discussions. That's the extent of what I could say right now.
Is there anything you would do in the future to stop this before it would happen?
Before the discrimination? Well, I mean, I think, I tell my team all the time, it's never too late to do the right thing. And a lot of these schools can just do the right thing. They can actually have the same sensible reading of Title IX and the same sensible reading of the Virginia Human Rights Act that has been for decades, and realize that this is in no way protects women. This harms women. The whole purpose of Title IX was to level the playing field. So you have just as many male and female athletes. Women athletes that are being left behind, where these schools are putting all the resources and all these scholarships for female athletes. And as Bill noted, you already have a disparity in Roanoke College. But when you allow a biological male who's just on the male swim team switch over, you have now taken a slot away from a deserving female athlete. That is discriminatory. That is wrong, period. And just because you cloak something in the words of diversity or inclusion, does that mean you get to wave a magic wand and suddenly say it's not discriminatory? It absolutely is. And we're very confident in our position, needless to say.
Bill noted in his opening comments that this could open the door for suits against the college. Can you elaborate on how that works? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I think every single school, every single college, I would also argue probably nationwide, needs to be doing some serious reflection right now on, I can't speak specifically, but what I can say is every attorney when they have a client, will advise their client on their legal exposure and how to avoid legal exposure. And I think schools that consist on these type of policies that are so harmful towards women, I would argue would have enormous legal exposure, and they're being put on notice. All right. Yes, sir.
Can we have the name of the professor who was hostile, or is that not available?
It's in the report.
It's in the report. You could download the report and get the name there.
Are there any transgender athletes on Roanoke College teams now?
I am not going to speak to that because I don't have with 100% certainty what their other policies are with the other teams. So,
Final question.
yeah. No?
Was Roanoke College cooperative with your investigation?
Generally, they were cooperative in the sense that they obviously pled their case, and we laid out in the report their position and what their response was to some of our inquiries as well. So that's also in the report. Listen, I appreciate you all. By being here and covering this, you're also providing a voice for the marginalized, for these women that have felt ignored and belittled. And I want to thank everybody in the media that is here today by not choosing to ignore the story, but to also talk about these young women's plight. So thank you also for doing your job. God bless you all.